Hello everyone, welcome back once again. So today's topic is we are going to get introduced to list. Okay, so list is one of the it's very important data type in Python, and basically list is a collection of items of any data type. Now this is very important. So we can have a collection of items of any data type, just like we have an array in other programming languages. But the difference is an array can have numbers, or I mean to say any items of the same data type. So if it's a number array, so it will have numbers. If it is a string array, character array, so it will only have characters. But list in Python can have a collection of items of any data type. Okay, so lists are also mutable. Mutable means that the items of the list can be changed. We can change the value of the items. Okay, so just to understand this, we will take examples. First thing is how you're supposed to declare a list. Now a list, to declare a list is so simple. You just need to have you can come up with your own variable name. I say L. Now I'm using L just as a convention that it denotes list. You can have any variable name or whatever variable name you want. You can have R is equal to square brackets. That it will not make any difference. So we are just using a proper name as L or small l, and I say opening and closing bracket. That is the square brackets. Okay, so you can use this opening and closing bracket, and this indicates that L is a list. Okay, this particular thing indicates. Now we have just created a list that is an empty list, which means L is a list, but it's empty. So if I run this code and I try to print L, okay, so we will just save the program and we will check the output, and the output will be absolutely nothing because the list is empty. So we'll check the output over here, right? So it's just giving a list which is empty, right? Now if I want to have some items like 12, 34, 56, 78, so we can have, now this is the first item, that is an integer number separated by the commas over here. So basically there are four items of a number data type. So we have 12, we have 34, 56, 78. Okay, so these are the items in the list. So there are four items. Now if I print the list, you can see the output over here. So we have the output as it is, what we can see in the code. It will display the output. Now as I said, that a list can have multiple data types, or the items can be of multiple data types. So basically if I have something like first is an integer number, but second I will just make it as 34.7, which is a floating number, and the third item I can just make one single character as A, and the last character I can just have as something like Linux. Okay, so this is a string basically. So now if I run this code, if you see the output now, so you can see the output now. This is, it displayed the list without any error. As I said, list can have items of multiple data types. Okay, so 12, 34.7, A, and Linux. So this is how you can create a list. And second way you can create a list is having like L is equal to the function list. So list is a function which will create a empty list for you. So I will remove this part over here, and at this point list is empty. So this function creates an empty list. So if you see the output for this, you will see an empty list, just what it got displayed before, empty list. Now if I give something like some strings over here, like hello and world. Okay, hello world. Now this will create a list where every character will be an item. So you can see H is is an item. Okay, E is another separate item. So every character will be as a separate item in the list. So you can assign string to you can pass this as to the parameter to the list function. Okay, And you can also pass list and another list, like if I say 12, 34, 56 and 87. So even this is valid. You can do it this way also. So you can see the list, it got displayed. But then if you really want to pass a list, why would you use this function? You will straight away use L is equal to and straight away the list, what we did before, right? And you can also pass a tuple. So basically a tuple is also a collection of items, but it is denoted by the rounded brackets. Okay, this is opening and closing, and you can have some numbers over here. So this is tuple. But tuples, I'm not going to use it at this point, because we are going to take tuples in the later part of in my upcoming videos. So we will see tuples altogether when we start working with tuples. Okay, so at this point you can just remember that a list function can take string, it can take list, and it can take tuples, but it cannot take number. Okay, never. If I say list of 12, so this is basically, it will, this does not work basically, so it will throw an error. Okay, so this will not work. Now, okay, now we just learn how to create a list. Now what we are going to see is you know like how to access the items of the list. Okay, now I'll just create one list over here. Now these are the list, and just like in strings we have the index values. Okay, in list also we have index values to access the values, okay, from the list. Okay, so it's the same principle that we have in strings. So basically the first item will have the index value as 0. So this will be the index value as 0, this will be the index value 1, this will be 2, and this will be 3. So the index value of 12 is 0, 5 is 1, 67 is 2, and 8 is 3. So if I want to just print this 67 from the list, so I will just simply use the square brackets, and I can simply use the index value. So this is the index value that I'm passing. So index value 2, so that is 67. So if you run this code, so if you see the output, now we will get the number. Okay, there is an indentation problem. I just did not put this under the comment. Okay, perfect. Now we'll run this code and you can see the output. That is 67. So we just accessed this particular index value. So if I make this as 0, so it will give the output as 12, because the index value of 0, index value is 12. Okay, so this is how you can access the items of the list. Also, I said that lists are mutable. So basically you can change the values of the item. So if I say something like okay, I'll just print the list first, and then I'll make certain changes in the list. That is list of index value 2, and if I say this as 34, now if you see index value 2 is 67, right? But now I'm assigning 34, and then again I will print the list. I will try to print the list, and now you can see the output over here. That is, okay, the first it printed 12, 5, 67 and 8, and then I use the code that is L of 2. The index value 2 is 67, so I assigned a different value, that is 34. So you can see it was 67, but now it is 34. So this is how we can change this the values from the list. But if you can remember in string, since strings are immutable, right? We cannot, so suppose if I take any string, s is equal to hello world, and if I try to change some index value like s of 5, so s of 5 is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or I will just take 4 over here. So if I try to change this O to something like U, this is not allowed in string. This throws an error, right? But in list it is allowed, since lists are mutable. So this is the basic difference between a list and a string, that strings are immutable and lists are mutable. So this is allowed in list. Okay, so this is how we did it. Now we will just move on to list traverser. List traverser, which means that I can have a list L. Suppose I have a list capital L. This time I will use it, and 34, 56 or numbers, and then I can use the list traverser and I will print I. Okay, so what happens this now, use a for loop. I will have I in L, so basically I will have the value of 12, it will print 12. Then again the loop goes, I will have the value 34, it prints 34, 56 and 67. So alterations for this for loop will be 4, and we will have the output like something of this sort. Okay, that is 12, 34, 56 and 67, right? So this particular thing which we access every item from the list is called as list traverser. The same thing, we use it for list for strings, and we call it as a string traverser. Okay, oh, I just traverser. Okay, so that is how the things are. So list traverser, string traverser, this is how we can access every item of the list. Okay, so we have just learned how to create a list. We have learned how to access and how to change the values from the list. Now let us understand some of the other things, like I can directly print the length of the list. So can you guess the length of this list? It will be 12, 34, 56 and 67. So the length, number of items is basically the length of the string. Number of items. So this will turn as, this will give the output as 4. It is because it is given the output as 4 because there are 4 items. Even if I have some strings over here, like something like Lennox Lewis, this is a string, second item. Still, if you see the output, we will have the length of the string as 4. You can see over here, right? Because there are 1, 2, 3, 4 items in the list. Just one thing that I missed. So if I use the list traverser in this case, and I try to print every item from the list, now you can see the output. It will give as 12. Okay, 12, Lennox Lewis, 56 and 67. Now you can see the value of I, the data type is integer, but over here the next item is a string, so the data type changes. So if you can remember, this feature is called as dynamic typing, where the variable, the data type of a variable is changing. So this is why we have dynamic typing in Python, because when we access any list, it can have multiple data types. So I will be first integer data type, but then it will turn out to be a string data type. This is allowed in Python. It is one of the feature. It is one of the advantage of Python, I would say. Okay. So length we have calculated. Now we can also add 2 strings. Okay, so we can perform the addition operation just like we did it for strings. Like if I have something like, if I give something like L1, okay, and I will give second list as L2, and there is 34 and 56, and if I try to print L1 plus L2, so I will have the addition of 2 strings. Okay, let us see the output for this. So we will have a third string, but we are not assigning that to anything. So it is, see, if you see this, that is 12, 45, 56 and 67, and then 34 and 56. So we got a third string. So I can also do this, like I can use L3 is equal to L1 plus L2, and it will give, okay, I'll just make the change over here, that is L3. So I will have a third string, that is L3. So you can see the output. Now I have a third list. Okay, also if I make this as 2 and this as 1, can you guess the output? So first it will be 34, 56, and then 12, 45, 56 and 67. So we can just see the output over here. Okay, so 34, 56, as I said. So it depends on what you keep first and what you keep second. Okay, also what we can have is, we can have a string, the into operator. So if I say into and 2, okay, so this will multiply, that is L2, and I assign it to L3. So 34 we will have a list L3 having 34, 56, and again 34, 56. So you can see the output for this. So we have a list that is 34, 56, again 34, 56. And if I make this as 4, so we will have 4 times. Okay, so here it is. So this is the first one, this is the second, third, and fourth. Okay, so we can have this the into operator, the multiplication operator, but we cannot have anything like we try to perform any string over here or try to add something, so this will throw an error. This is not allowed. Okay, it actually doesn't make any sense at all. Okay, so this is how we can do it. And that's it for today. I mean, I have just introduced about list, and in my next tutorial we are going to see some real important functions of list by which we can perform some operations on list, how to access assign values through a program, how we can add values items into the list. Okay, that is what we are going to see, and we're going to see some more important functions. Okay, so bye for now. So if you have liked my video, do subscribe to my channel. There is a subscribe button in front of you. Click it right away, and after that click on the bell icon so that you can get the regular notifications of my videos. Bye for now.